get to be simple. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Lancaster. I think every day is a beautiful day, and there's nothing like a slightly rainy Sunday morning to peel yourself out of bed and out of your houses and to come here and to sit in a warm room surrounded by people who want to be here too. So I want to welcome you to church this morning. We're really looking at other faiths this morning, and so there'll be lots of ideas that come at you. Just let them kind of wash over you, see what is interesting, and pick that up and let the rest wash by. Our call to worship this morning are words from the Muslim poet Sa'di. He says, "To worship God is nothing other than to serve the people. It does not need rosaries, prayer beads, or carpets. All people are members of the same body, created from one essence. If fate brings suffering to one member, the others cannot stay at rest." Let us worship together. I invite you to find a gray hymnal somewhere near you. We're going to turn to number 187 and stand and sing "It Sounds Along the Ages." This may be a little new for you all. Don't worry about it. Just pay attention to all of the religious references in it. Let's stand and sing number 187, "It Sounds Along the Ages." Please remain standing for the lighting of our chalice. In Unitarian Universalism, the flaming chalice is our most central symbol. We light it at each of our services. We light it at weddings and at funerals and at child dedications. For us, it is a flame of truth and knowledge. It is a beacon of hope and of justice, of peace and of joy. This morning, we light our chalice with these words by Albert Schweitzer. "At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us." Please be seated. I want to welcome you to church this morning. A Unitarian Universalist church, even on an ordinary Sunday, is always a real mix of thoughts and beliefs, religious traditions. We are sort of a gathering of the world's religions as folks discover that there's generally more than one way of seeing God or seeing religion or practicing it. So you can be assured when you come into a Unitarian Universalist church that you are sitting among folks who may have a Jewish background, may have a Christian background. There may be Buddhists among us, Wiccans among us, maybe a Hindu or two here or there. And that is the genius of a congregation like ours. It's not that you have to come in and change what you believe so much. You come in and you hear what other people believe, and you see how yours matches up with theirs, how it fits in like pieces of a puzzle. So we are all made stronger and more beautiful as a congregation by the theological diversity that is with us every single Sunday morning. We also know that this is a place where some people have been coming for generations, where people have been members for 20, 30, 40 years or more. And we also know that every single Sunday, there's someone brand new among us, someone who has never before set foot in a Unitarian Universalist church, and they are just as welcome here as that 40-year member. Us gathering on a Sunday morning is the true miracle that happens here. Welcome to church this morning.
I now ask you to join me in our responsorial reading, number 607, in your gray hymnals. Number 607, entitled Islam. I'll start and then you follow with the italics. Take your time. Beloved presence, cloak yourselves in 1,000 ways. Still shall I know you, my beloved.
Veil yourself with every enchantment, and yet I shall feel you, presence most dear, close and intimate.
I shall salute you in the springing of cypresses and in the sheen of lakes, the laughter of fountains.
I shall surely see you in tumbling clouds, in brightly embroidered meadows.
O beloved presence, more beautiful than all the stars together.
I trace your face in ivy that climbs, in clusters of grace, in morning flanking the mountains, in the clear arch of sky.
You gladden the whole earth and make every heart great.
You are the breathing of the world. For our second reading this morning, I've chosen a poem by Barbara Crooker. It has a long title, which is The VCCA Fellows Visit the Holiness Baptist Church, Amherst, Virginia. We are the only light faces in a sea of mahogany, tobacco, almond, and this is not the only way we are different. We've come in late, the choir already singing, swaying to the music, moving in the Spirit. When I was down, Lord, when I was down, Jesus lifted me. And for a few minutes, we are raised up out of our own skepticism and doubts, rising on the swell of their voices. The singers sit and we pass the peace, wrapped in thick arms, ample bosoms, and I start to think that maybe God is a woman of color and that she loves us in spite of our pale selves so far away from where we really should be. Parishioners give testimonials. A deacon speaks of his sister who's gone home, and I realize he doesn't mean back to Georgia, but that she's passed over. I float on this sweet certainty of a return not to the bland confection of wispy clouds and angels in nightshirts, but to a childhood's kitchen, a dew-drenched June morning, roses tumbling by the back porch. The preacher mounts the lectern, tells us he's been up since 4, working at his other job, the one that pays the bills, and he delivers a sermon that lightens the heart, unencumbered by dogma and theology. For the benediction, we all join hands, visitors and strangers, enfolded in the whole, like raisins in sweet batter. We step through the door into the stunning sunshine, and our hearts lift out of our chests, tiny birds flying off to light in the redbuds, to sing and sing and sing. I invite you to settle in for the sermon. We arrive at the Red Mosque in Delhi's Old Town shortly after dawn. Already the city is awake and on the move. Rickshaws jostle with motor scooters. Shopkeepers hawk their wares. People walk briskly to work. The cows in the streets scavenge for food. A hired van has dropped us off at the base of the mosque. We climb the broad stairs and leave our shoes with the man whose job it is to tend the shoes. With the bright sun warming the red sandstone patio of the ancient mosque, we step out of the chaotic world and into holy space. The only tourists at the Red Mosque that morning are in our small group. We are free to wander where we would like. We are quite ignored by the dozens of Muslims who have stopped by the mosque to worship. Men kneel on prayer rugs, women gather in small groups, heads covered, children tag along with their parents. I discover the sun has made the patio stones warm enough to take off my socks and go barefoot, just like most of the Indians are doing. The mosque's various porticos hold tablets of beautiful Arabic calligraphy. The call to prayer emanates from the high minaret. The sensation of being in this old house of worship is comfortable and pleasant. But what am I actually doing there? What is a Unitarian Universalist getting from walking barefoot in a mosque halfway around the world from home? Much like the sensation I get when I enter an ornate Catholic church or sit in a sparsely decorated synagogue, I was aware of 2 powerful things that day at the Red Mosque. I knew I was in a place that had great religious significance, and I knew that religious significance was not my tradition. I was there both as a religious person and as a tourist. Even as the sun-warmed patio made me think of Moses and others who have taken off their shoes on holy ground, I knew my socks and shoes would go back on after the visit. I would leave the Red Mosque happy to have visited, but not any more inclined to follow as I can enjoy a Shabbat service or a Mass or a kirtan without having to want to become Jewish or Catholic or Hindu. I could leave the Red Mosque glad for its presence, have better stuff. It takes a while to see that we can appreciate that other stuff without having to bring it home. The first time I heard the phrase holy envy, writes Barbara Brown Taylor, I knew that it was an improvement on the plain old envy I felt while studying other faiths. When the Jewish Sabbath came up in class, I wanted it. Why did Christians ever let it go, I wondered. When we watched a film of the God-intoxicated Sufis spinning, I wanted that too, she writes. The best my tradition could offer me during worship was kneeling to pray and standing to sing. My spiritual covetousness extended to the inclusiveness of Hinduism, the nonviolence of Buddhism, the prayer life of Islam, and the sacred debate of Judaism. Of course, she continues, this list is simplistic, idealistic, overgeneralized, and full of my own projections. It tells you much about what I find wanting in my own tradition, as it does about what I find desirable in another. This gets to the heart of the problem. With plain old envy, my own tradition always comes up wanting. Now, if Barbara Brown Taylor, Episcopal priest, professor, and author, can admit her holy envy, I guess we can too, right? How many times have we found ourselves wishing Unitarian Universalism could be more serious like the Jews? How many times have we found ourselves wishing Unitarian Universalism could be more lively like the Black Christian churches? How many times have we found ourselves wishing Unitarian Universalism could be more colorful like Hindus? I'm sure that we have wished for elaborate rituals, charming statues, longer chants, and livelier music on occasion. Heck, some of us might even get a thrill of having to stand for the whole service, surrounded by icons and incense like the Orthodox do. I would be surprised if there is a person here this morning who has not envied another religious tradition. If you are like me, you have even collected various trinkets from them, souvenirs from our religious tourism. While some religious traditions take an exclusivist stance, theirs is the only way to salvation, we UUs tend to treat the world's religions like a buffet. We tend to move along, plate in hand, taking a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and like most choices made at a buffet, we are not going for the steamed broccoli. We like the shiny, sweet, fatty bits of other religions. We like their festivals, their vestments, their celebratory meals, and their beads. It is a radical shift for us to move from coveting another's spirituality to appreciating it without needing to own it. While some religions quarrel and war with others, we tend to go to the other extreme. We sometimes like to think all the religions are essentially alike, with interchangeable parts. I say that we need to work to understand religious pluralism as the mean between two extremes. The religions of the world are not alike. Let me repeat that. The religions of the world are not alike. And the religions of the world must move from competition to cooperation if we are ever to have peace. Ideally, each person would have their own beliefs without having to thrust them on others. Ideally, each person would truly appreciate how someone else approaches the divine. We Unitarian Universalists could be leaders in this work, for ours is a fine old faith, quite accustomed to accommodating difference. I sometimes joke that Unitarian Universalism has reformed itself right out of Christendom. And this is true in a good way. On both sides of the family, Unitarian Universalism comes out of the liberal Christian tradition. There are many UUs today, me included, who have a great appreciation for that Christian tradition and for the life and teachings of Jesus of Nazareth. But we don't stop there as a group. Just as our religious forebears found the Church of England too restricting, and then Puritanism too restricting, so others found early Unitarianism too orthodox and Transcendentalism too ethereal. Our oldest churches were founded by Puritans who became Unitarians, who became Transcendentalists, who became humanists, who became us. Rather than narrowing our religious lens, we chose to open it wider and wider and wider. What we did not become, however, was Jewish or Muslim or Buddhist. Each step in our religious evolution comes as the logical next step for us, following, of course, the dictates of freedom, reason, and tolerance. We might be envious of other religious traditions, but we are wise enough to stick with what fits for us. The next step is to simultaneously celebrate who we are and appreciate the others. Having just passed the Jewish high holy days of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, it's easy for us to look with envy on Judaism at this time of year. Who among us wouldn't like to forgive and be forgiven? Who wouldn't want to start a new year with a clean slate? Who wouldn't want to be inscribed in the book of life for another trip around the sun? Many UUs were raised Jewish or have a Jewish background. For them, the high holy days are real. They have power. The most important thing to remember is that you and I have ways of responding to the same human needs from our own tradition. Repentance is welcome in Unitarian Universalism. There is nothing so heavy that you might not tell your minister or a fellow congregant about it and have your burden lifted. Forgiveness is abundant in Unitarian Universalism. There is no sin so great that you might not be redeemed from it. A new start is always available here. There is no old habit, no past wrong, no stuck place that might not be left behind right here. We UUs can appreciate the high holy days, and we have our own equally powerful ways of responding to those human needs. The beauty of this faith is how it leaves room for forgiveness and joy. It leaves room for repentance and peace. It acknowledges both sin and hope. Unitarian Universalism is not content with salvation in the sweet by and by. Instead, it insists on helping save the world for the living. When we uphold our religious convictions, we stand shoulder to shoulder with our religious siblings, and we need be envious no longer. There's a Buddhist teaching that says, we humans are responsible for our own destiny. With no divine mediator in Buddhism to erase human mistakes or offer a free pass to salvation, people have to own up to their own actions. In Buddhism, words and actions have natural consequences which affect everyone. Some lead to joy, some lead to sorrow, but no one else can handle them for us. They are ours to handle and to learn from as best we are able. When the Buddha himself lay dying, his disciples asked him how they could possibly go on without him. What would guide them after he was gone? Be lamps unto yourselves, he told them. Rely on yourselves and do not rely on external help. Hold fast to the truth as to a lamp. What the Buddha is saying is, be true to yourself. Trust yourself to know right from wrong. Live and learn as you go. And is this not the best way to be in all things? I think so. To be ourselves, to think carefully, to act responsively, to speak gently, to welcome the stranger, to never forget the power of love. We need not envy other people's faiths. We need not envy one another. This world is big and complex and messed up and beautiful. It needs every single one of us. It needs our love. So be it. Amen.
you, Alan. I must confess, when I first read the order of service and saw the word envy, I didn't pay attention to holy. So I thought, heck, I'm not an envious person. The only thing I've ever been envious of is when I was younger, all those curvy figures everyone else had but me, that's it. But then I noticed it's religious envy. So I was raised as a devout Catholic by my mom. I went to church several times a week in Catholic school and was faithfully there every Sunday, just like here. I studied at the Catholic University of Puerto Rico. So that's all I knew till I was about 24. And then I decided I needed to take a little break from the church. Some things weren't making much sense. And so I went my own way. And then I was on a retreat one time, and I felt the calling, so I became a Catholic nun for 5.5 years in my mid-20s. My family thought I was Saint Lillian. From the Catholic Church, I always loved the symbolism, the rich rituals, the incense, and the moment of the Eucharist. Fast forward, I left. It was a beautiful time, but I was looking for something else. I was between faiths looking. I'm very attracted and practice Native American rituals. Was once told by a wise woman, in another life I was a shaman, which I wholly believe. I love the stillness, quiet, and reflection of the Quaker Church. Then, one beautiful day, I came to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Lancaster. This has been my beloved community for the past 18 years, since I so happily and eagerly signed the book. Another big influence in my life, still to this day, has been the Jewish community. My current therapist is a lovely woman who happens to be Jewish, and I've always wanted to know more about it. So I sent for the 100 Facts About Jewism for Dummies. It's a very, very good book. And sometimes when there's been a Jewish holiday, we'll discuss a little bit about it, and she'll tell me her perspective. And that is one faith that I really am attracted to, especially the recent Day of Atonement. I'm glad our church is also attuned to the Jewish faith and to all faiths, and that's why I've always felt welcome here. And now comes the time in our service for your continued generosity to people in this community and in the community at large. This month, the offertory is for Share the Plate is for Off the Streets, which provides hope and dignity to those experiencing homelessness, helps them to transition to permanent housing. They assist persons referred by the local social service providers with a security deposit and basic furnishings of their homes. The collection will now be gratefully passed.
Thank you, Alan, for the beautiful music. Such a joy. We come to a thoughtful, prayerful time in our service, a time in which if you've come this morning with some great joy on your heart, please come forward, press that into a stone or a tile and leave it in the sand so that we might share in your joy. Likewise, if this has been a rough week or if you have some great loss that you would like to also press into a stone or a tile, now's the opportunity to do that, knowing that we will hold you in that sorrow. Please come up the center aisle and return by the side aisle. Please bring forward your joys and sorrows.